life.
What's up, Shinners? Welcome back to the Shindig podcast, where we get under the skin of the UK trials community. I'm Tom Hutley.
And I am Mr. Matt Pengelly.
And today, we have... Do you want to introduce Matt?
Yeah, he's a very close... consider him a very close friend of mine. Been well in the scene probably longer than most of the people listening to this podcast. Let's just get to it. It's Mr. Rich Pearson.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Rich, how the devil are you, my friend?
I'm good. I am good. Yeah. I feel, like I said to you when you messaged me and asked me to do this, I did ask if you wanted to scrape the bottom of the barrel this early on in your podcasting career, but I mean, I'm keen to be involved. I'm glad to be here and stuff. So
mate, as we said, perfect candidate, mate. We've said this, or you've had your fingers in many pies, but I'd like to say you've had a full palm in the trials pie there for some time.
I've been riding trials longer than Charlie Rolls has been alive. I know that. I'm also because I literally yesterday listened to the one you did with Scott Wilson.
Yeah.
I was glad you didn't let him get away with not talking about his tattoo with his Monty. Because for years he told all of us it wasn't a Monty. He was like, no, it's just a bike. And I was like, it looks just like a Monty 221. But he's like, no, it's not. Because then he got sponsored by Cox, so that's changed. But yeah, and he was saying he's been riding for like 24 years. I think I've been riding for like 22 years. So like 98 was when I think I started sort of riding. So yeah, it's been a while.
Wow, 98.
I think that's the official definition of trials legend. Then post like pre-2000.
Yeah. I mean,
status.
you also had what back then. You were a moderator on Trials Forum, weren't you? That was a big deal back then.
I'm still a moderator on Trials Forum. I don't use it anymore. We need
to liaise and kind of he can be our man to dig up our dirt. We've got so much dirt.
Yeah, I was told there's like a moderators forum, like a separate forum for you guys.
If there is, I don't know where it is. They haven't told me that. So yeah. But, I got made a moderator on Trials Forum because I was ranting about how awful the moderators were. And Tom basically said, well, if you think you can do better, join the club, dickhead. So moderator. And
I'm sorry, but I can so see that. I could just I've known you long enough to just be like, come on, guys, I feel like you should be doing. And then perhaps Tom or whether the guys decided to bring you on board. Where are you in the world right now anyway, Rich? Let us know where you're talking to us from.
Right now I'm in I want to say sunny Cornwall, but it's not very sunny. It's quite miserly outside. But no, I mean this is my house that me and my girlfriend share in Ponsonooth, which is just outside of Falmouth. So for quite a long time I've sort of thought that I'm probably the most southern trials rider. I don't know of many people further like west or south of where I am that ride trials. So I might be the furthest down, unless the Isle of Wight is lower and there's some guys there, but I don't know. So yeah, but right down the bottom basically is where I am. So yeah.
Reach out if you think you've got that accolade.
Yeah,
if you think you're any further than that.
I was just about to say
you get the prize for the most south-western trials rider.
It is weird because there's so many like trials groups on Facebook now, and there's guys who just go like, especially after lockdown and everything, and people getting back into riding bikes. And there's guys who've been like, hey, I live in Falmouth and I ride trials. And I'm like, I've never met you. I've been here for like 12 years. I don't know. And there's just people who are just around like, oh, yeah, I just go out and ride every now and then. And you just never meet them. But there are people who've never heard of Trials Forum, who don't like interact that much, but are still actual legit trials riders. So there probably is someone out there.
The scene is in the southwest. I will vouch for that. I do think you are the most southern rider, as the Cornish lot say. Bristol is North Territory for most Cornish people, believe it or not. But they have a really good scene. I have to say, I think the scene Cornwall, me coming there myself, it's not as bad as you think, and you think being that far south, you might not have that many riders, but there's a lot more than you think. And my point being, Rich, I know you said it was probably about last year, year before, you actually probably, was it the first trials park in Cornwall that was built at Mount Hawke Skate Park?
I think it's probably the first one that was open to sort of the public, because loads of us had like pallets and stuff in our garden and things. But yes, Mount Hawke Skate Park. I started. I met the guy that runs Mount Hawke at the moment about 2 years ago, early 2018. And I helped them out with some events and stuff like that. And then they said, "Oh, we've got this big patch of land. There's nothing on it. Do you want to put some pallets and some big dumper truck tires and stuff on it?" And so we did, yeah. So that the blocks it was cool, because there were these big, massive concrete blocks that got donated. It's been going for about 2 years now. And we were really hoping to get a big Easter ride on this year, as I suppose many people were. And then coronavirus happened, which sucked a bit, because we were on the cusp of just getting a few more people to come down, because we've just, like you say, there's just so much good riding down here. You go down like almost on any sort of coast line, north or south coast of Cornwall, there's just tons of natural riding, loads of ruined mining buildings and stuff. There's a huge World Heritage mining site that the whole of Cornwall is. There's loads of like just smashed up bits of concrete like Cliggerhead and Wheel Kitty and stuff. So yeah, when the restrictions are lifted, we want to get more people down here and have a bit of a weekender, really. So yeah,
I was trying to segue into that.
That's what was the plan that Steve wanted to do this year.
Yeah.
What you about to say?
It was
Have like a files like.
one of the main destinations that we're going to make our way down to, which was it's an official trials park. That's what I'm telling people, and this is kind of that to try and bring that to this, to let everyone know on the podcast that go to Cornwall, we make a trip of it. There's a proper park, a proper place to ride. I think Tom's had to shoot off some. We're working at the same time as doing all of this, because all that too many things going on all at once. But I'd like to think that there'll be a new date and some more events set in that Mount Hawke spacing, because that area is really good to ride, and I was lucky enough to kind of start off building it with you.
Yeah, you were there when we were first putting it together.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that they've needed down that way for certain.
Yeah.
The other thing I think most people might not know, you're one of the very few trials riders that has kind of made a living from riding your bike, Rich. You have. There's very few people that can do that. I think you've done that pretty well, running a very well successful urban display team. I'd like to say that I'm happily a part of.
Yeah.
Do you want to, for people that don't know or have no clue, do you want to go into that kind of journey of how it like kicked off for you?
Yeah, sure. Well, before that, I'm just going to say I have this morning just watched your first vlog, the video of you guys riding in London, and I did notice the RPM t-shirt, so I was really happy about that. So thank you.
I've just remembered that I was wearing that. Yeah, that's my favourite riding t-shirt.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, they're just through the Loom t-shirts, but I'm glad they're comfy and okay. Yeah, right. Shut up. What was it? Basically, when I started RPM was in 2017, it worked. There's no point being around the bush. It was you and me, Matt, wasn't it? We did our first show in Shepperton, just outside of London. We did that one, and then the next show that RPM did was Glastonbury Festival. So it was quite a stratospheric jump, and also it was quite a big gamble for Glastonbury, the theatre and circus fields that booked us in to sort of go with a relatively unknown demo team and something that wasn't really theatre or circus, but they were sort of like, we want to get, they saw that sports was like could be recognised as performing arts as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's kind of the next step I wanted to. How did you say, as you said there, like many display groups happen, you're like, hang on a minute, we'll build up a rig, set up in a field and do some shows. But being one of the only, I think I'm going to say only trials display team who have ever actually performed at Glastonbury, right?
I
So
think, yeah, I
huge
think
deal.
we are.
With the most well-known festival in the world. Obviously, it just kind of happened. Was it a little bit of who you knew? Just to give some of the listeners a kind of like, how did you get into that your bike to get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been really short, like life story. I didn't learn to ride a bike until I was 11 years old. I had stabilizers on my bike until I was 11 because I'm autistic, so I'm really slow developmentally. But then when I got things picked up really quick.
This is wow. Okay, sorry, carry on, mate.
That's wicked.
Yeah, so I literally I used to get bullied in school because I loved riding a bike, but I was like 10 years old and I just loved riding a bike, but I couldn't do it without stabilizers, so I couldn't get it. And my dad, like, I remember, bless him, my dad's gone now, but when he first taught me how to ride a bike in the yard in Devon, and I remember him cheering, being like, "Yes, he's not retarded," because they just thought I was so stupid because I was just literally rolling around like a kid's 5-6 years old, running circles around me and stuff. But I did learn to ride a bike, and then literally it was stratospheric after that. It was 6 months after that I got a motor trials bike, got into motorbike trials, then got more into push bike trials. And I was sort of 19, I think, when I did my first proper demos with Andre. So did a bunch of shows with him. And then from there, the sort of first team I did a proper season with, the Mad team, which was in 2008. I went to university down here in Cornwall. Mad Land Rover, there's guys like me and Mike Singleton and Lee McCaw and Nick Manning. We were sort of the Land Rover team for a couple of years. And I rode with them, and then I left Mad and went and rode for 360 and rode for Savage. I've ridden for sort of most of the big teams now, I think, really.
One you haven't, I would say, can you name a display team you haven't ridden for yet? That was the question.
Yeah, well, because me and Ross MacArthur did that. We were talking about this the other day. Is there any teams we haven't ridden for? I mean, I've not ridden for. I obviously like Drop and Roll, so I've not ridden with them.
Come on, it's a BMX show. We're talking about urban trials.
No, be nice. Danny's a trials rider, and I've done a demo with Danny McCaskill before he was famous. We did a demo in Bristol, like a bunch of us. So. But basically, so I've just spent years riding for various different demo teams, and I got the opportunity to start commentating and comparing on shows and stuff. When I left uni in 2013, I accidentally started a business teaching people how to walk on slack lines, so like tight ropes, and then started teaching that. And Matt's worked with us at Glastonbury and stuff.
I love it. I've got to say, it's actually kind of fun. So you carry on,
You're pretty good at slack lining.
It did take me a few sessions. I'm straight into the training. Like, oh, here's our young professional who's going to show you how to do it. And I'm like, what? What?
but trial by fire,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But so I spent a couple of years running the slackline school, which was just genuinely an accidental business. We set some slacklines up on the beach, and people asked us if they could have a go, and then someone asked us if we could go into someone's school, and before we knew it, we were working with like Barclays and Glastonbury and stuff. And so we were really, really lucky with that. And then it was about 2017. I was still doing shows for other people, and I just sort of thought I'd give it a go and start doing stuff for myself. So got some.
The demand was there, wasn't it? I think you already had your kind of your presence known at these shows from the slacklining, as you were saying, and then I think
it was with anything in the events industry, it's a lot of who you know and stuff. So it was. We definitely wouldn't have got into Glastonbury if I hadn't had the rapport that I had with the guys who run the theatre and circus stuff there from doing what we do with slacklining. But I just want to make it clear that I'm so aware of how immensely lucky I've been in my career. I do work sodding hard, but at the same time, so many really fortunate things have just happened. And I've worked with some incredible professionals and people like Ian Drummond, who runs the 360 team. Like Ian's the only person that's ever fired me, and we're still friends.
Can you go into that a little bit? I didn't know this one, Rich. I'm very surprised.
I'm pretty sure I have told you this.
Hammered, were you?
But yeah, no, it's so basically anyone who's on the demo circuit who works in events will tell you about drunken nights out and things and all the antics. And there's always a bit of like there's always like a bit of, you know, everyone trying to one up each other and stuff and do sort of more crazy things. Because when your day job consists of jumping over cars on bikes and things, you have relatively little fear, especially when, you know, really sadly, you look at someone like Martin Ashton and you know, you do sort of think every day, I mean, he's an incredible, I'm nowhere near as talented as Martin is, and you think that's the sort of dangerous end game that you're playing with, so you do kind of tend to let off a bit of steam in the evenings and stuff. And yeah, in 2013 I think I became the 360 team are like those guys. They're all from Newcastle and Durham in that kind of way. They know how to drink, they know how to have a good time. And
this is the same weekend that we drove, because I drove with you from Cornwall up to Newcastle and we did a show with the 360 lot.
Yeah, but no, it's not that one, because we did have that was you, me, and James Davis, and we did have a lot of fun with that one. But no, yeah, we went to the Isle of Man, me and Craig and Alec in 2013, and it's a very long story. We haven't got time for it on your podcast, but basically there was a lot of alcohol, and I lost all of my clothes and went for a swim, and it involved like all of the emergency services, I think, and yeah, and basically I got fined about £7 going for a swim. So yeah, and the next day, because I was basically managing that trip, and the next day Ian was like, no. But he hired me again after that, so it was all good. Yeah, but and we're still good mates now, I think. So yeah, but well, he's just
yeah, I mean.
I say we've just been working.
I know you guys have a good relationship, and I'm sure he did that within his own best interest for the company, rather than, you know.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But no, it's yeah. I don't know who's got the craziest stories from being like on the road and stuff, but there's so much mad things that I've heard, you know. And yeah, I'm at sort of the end. I'm at like, you know, 10, 12 years in of doing this and stuff, and I'm much more happy with a cup of tea and sitting down watching Gogglebox in a hotel or something. But there was a time definitely when we were in like our early 20s when it was just madness. It was just like you're on the road, you're in the hotel. It's just you just end up getting a bit mental and stuff. So yeah, but right, I'm going to start.
It's that rock and roll, isn't it? Any sort of performance, you've got a certain window of perform. And what do you do the other time? You know, you're nowhere near home. You can't do your normal home life activities. You're gonna.
It's always we are professionals. We train really hard every morning. We get up, we stretch, we eat a specific diet, and then in his head he goes, "These guys have no idea we got hammered last night, do they?" You know.
Well, you hope that no one has any idea, but in reality, it's like that scene from Wolf of Wall Street where he's like, "I got the car home without damaging anything," and in reality, it's just destroyed. And
other people looking at us like
that's you internally while you're doing these like moves. Next day,
it actually goes into quite nicely. I wanted to touch base on the first time that we met. Now, I don't think you would remember it that day. I remember it very well because there's even a video on YouTube of that day.
Oh, is this in Plymouth?
So I'll just explain my first vision of Rich Pearson. Is that sometimes these podcasts are a bit of a roasting, mate. So you might have to
crack on.
But
just remember, I've got as much dirt on you as you've got.
I know. So, I've got to be careful. Anyway, where was I going? Right, I put up to Plymouth. You know, all these huge ride, massive ride. There was like Big Man, Nick Warren, Luke Rainbird, like all the crew were there, and there was people from all over the country.
Yeah.
Somehow Rich quite quickly made himself known. He is hungover, still probably smashed, I think, from what I remember, on a Leeson. Was wearing like a cancer research t-shirt that was fully covered. I am going to say, mate, you just looked homeless. He just turned up. Your hair was like everywhere. He's just an utter mess. And you think like, is that a trials rider? And then I say this twice. You were freaking awesome that day.
Thank you. Yeah.
So if anyone's interested on seeing that, if you just type in Plymouth Weekender, it was the 14th of April 2007.
Oh wow!
I remember the date exactly, and that was the day that we met.
Because how old would you? So that's what 13 years ago. So how old would you have been? Like, I'd have been 20.
I was 14, yeah, because I was about 14 years old when I started riding, and that was like the first weekend. Because it was also the same day I met James Davies, who's now my best mate. Like, that day seemed to sunk in very well into my past, and you can even, like I say.
So was that up in your trajectory, or was that the downhill slide?
I'm not sure.
And who was it, Rich or James?
Better from there.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, there's that you know, we all have our ups and downs. I think actually this might be a good one for Rich. You've riding for considerably long time. I was going through back some old photos, which I'm going to show you some old ones. You can give me context a bit later on. I think you'll like. You were banging out the street training videos is one thing I want to bring up in this podcast. It's always something that's stuck with people's minds. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I am going to try and find the links, but you created like trials video series, wasn't it? Street training.
I must admit, I was gonna get it out of there. I've never seen it.
He's never seen it. I'll have to show him. You don't have to go into it right now, but you know, it was like next level riding then. I'll have to say, definitely a hard thing to keep up. What are you doing now in this day to try and, you know, to keep get back to that kind of peak, or just make sure your body still works? Like, what are you doing to keep that momentum going?
So okay, I lost you a little bit there, mate, but I'm going to try and answer the question anyway. But basically, it's a funny one with trials and what still keeps me going, because I look at what I'm doing now. So I was just out riding yesterday, actually, and yesterday was the first day I've ridden since September. And I'm sort of could side up like 7 pallets, which is like 45 or something like that. And I think that's probably about the same height I could side up about 10 years ago. So in terms of progression, I haven't really changed much in terms of the things I've done, but I weirdly still enjoy it. And it's interesting, like when you just love something, when you just really enjoy something, you want to just keep doing it. And Jesus, yeah, like I said, I haven't, since before yesterday, I hadn't ridden for nearly 2 months. But I remember seeing an interview with Jack Carthy, actually, the world champion, and someone asked him what his like training regime was, and he said he just didn't have one because he just doesn't need discipline, because he just loves doing it. And I think that's that's sort of the most pure kind of like being an athlete, is when you just don't need someone to like crack the whip and make you go and do it. You just do it because you purely love it. And yeah, I remember when, so the street training videos, and I watch them now and really cringe, because there's so much. I was so emo back then, and there were so many like moody face shots that I put in, which just makes me want to slap myself. But I was a bit of a messed up teenager, and I like biking, like, and just twatting myself with bikes and just doing big drop gaps and things was a real big outlet. And it was better than just like getting drunk all the time and getting into other sort of not so good at habits. And as the years have progressed and I've had my ups and downs with mental health and everything else like that, riding bikes has just been the thing that's kept me level along the way, I think. So yeah, and the social side of it, really, which is just, you know, some of the most important things. So like guys that I ride with now, like James Bragg and Alex Dark and James Davies, well, now James Brown, we were all just out riding yesterday, and it's just so good to see them. And they're such, you know, even if we don't do much riding, it's just good to hang out with your mates, really, isn't it? And yeah, those are some of the things that have sort of kept me going, really. So yeah,
I think that's some of half the time getting down to Cornwall, bringing our bikes and going to these rides, just hanging out with the lads. That is, if anything, 50% of it for me now. Yeah. I struggle to go out riding on my own quite a bit. I mean, I don't. Full stop now. I used to.
No,
definitely, Yeah, I think one of these things where to keep most of us sane, you answered the question there, despite your troubles, your anxieties, depression, whatever it might be, there's always that backbone for a lot of us that the riding's the go-to.
Yeah.
The only thing that we really make us feel almost normal again, despite it being something that's the completely backwards type of sport.
And like the other thing that I think is probably quite cool to share, or would be quite a good thing to share on this at the moment, is because a lot of people in trials, it's a competitive kind of thing, and people talk about who's the best and stuff. And you know, obviously in the UK, we've got two of the best trials riders in the world right here, in sort of Jack and Charlie. But
I was thinking we're doing it. Talking about.
Oh no, so I wasn't talking about you. You guys are great, but
sorry, go on. Yeah,
sorry,
Charlie.
You're not Jack Carthy and Charlie Rolls, but yeah, no. So there's always a thing about sort of competitiveness in any kind of sport and things. But I always think of like, because people have asked me why I don't do competitions. I don't really do them anymore because there's this none down this way and stuff. But there's a great quote from a climber called Alex Lowe, who was like one of the best climbers in the world in the sort of 80s and 90s. He was doing mental stuff. But someone said to him, what's it like being the best climber? And he said, I'm not the best climber. He said, the best climber in the world is the person who's having the most fun. And that's kind of the sort of attitude I've taken with everything in bikes, and I climb as well, anything else. And you see it when you go. I mean, you see like the videos of Radfest and stuff. It's so clear. There's so many people having so much fun, just enjoying what they're doing. It doesn't matter who can side hop an inch higher or who can go whatever bigger. If you're enjoying yourself, that's got to be the most kind of important thing, really.
It's weird because that's a really good metric for just about everything. Sorry, I thought you froze. Yeah, it's a really good metric for just about everything. But by nature, you can't really measure it or quantify fun, really, can you? Like it's so hard. Like, how do you ensure that you have fun? I think it's just creativity.
Yeah, I mean, this is that one thing what I've learned. I hadn't made a trials video since 2013 or 14 until like yesterday, as you said, we just made one. And part of that, me, is because I was like, oh, well, I could do better than that, so I'm not going to film that because I've done better. And for some reason, the next video that came out had to be me being better or having some kind of progression, and you could see that. But it was like so backwards, because what we recently decided with the whole Shindig show thing, we're like, no, let's film the fun. Let's capture all of that, and then there'll be some riding there. Great.
You really got that with that last video.
Oh, and that's that's what we're going for, and that's really important, especially someone like you saying that. It's pretty much what we are trying to aim for, especially the lower. We've had two well-known riders, even they ride amazingly. Adam Moore is a really good example. He's like, guys, can you make more videos like this? And I'm like,
I was amazed when it comment.
I want to watch that because he rides and does all this crazy good stuff.
Rider, yeah.
But then he's coming to us like, no, this is what I want.
Yeah,
and it's really this whole what you said, like measuring on the happiness and the fun side of it. I think people are really catching on even more. It's like light bulbs going off. Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah. It's just basically, if you look at the world as a constant need for improvement and expansion, and with problems that we have in the world at the moment, in politics and everything else, are all based around people wanting more and wanting things to be bigger and wanting the economies to grow and stuff. Whereas actually, if you're just really happy with what you've got, I know it sounds like complacency, but actually just, having a good time out on your bike is, I think, as valuable as placing well in a competition and stuff. And for the guys like Jack Carthy, for whom, winning is a really big thing and stuff, I don't think that's a bad thing at all. But for the rest of us mortals, you have to, if I spent every day of my riding life comparing myself to Charlie Rolls and Jack Carthy, I wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. I'd just be like, Ed, the hardest possible move I can do is still Jack Carthy's warm up. There's and that's never going to change. So if I thought of that as my metric of success in trials riding, I wouldn't bother. I would never have a trials bike. So yeah.
Yeah, and you're obviously always trying to meet that expectation or that level, and if you never get there,
I want the witty quote of comparison being like the greatest evil or something. I don't know what.
Now I'm thinking of it. Yeah, I mean, if you compare
Sure,
those things, you compare. Yeah, it feels like that. There's a couple of questions I want to make sure we get in for this, because we've forgotten a couple of podcasts before. We just get carried away and whatever. It's organic. We're not a freaking professional show. We're just giving the people what they want.
No, it's great.
One of the most important, Rich, can you remember and tell us a little bit about your worst ever shindig?
My worst ever shindig. Well, there's two contenders for this, and I've sent you a picture of one of them earlier, which was me and Liam Norwood were testing out the new 360 demo rig. Oh no, there's three good ones actually. Right, I'll do these quickly. We're running out of time.
You've only got two shins. I don't know what's going on.
Two shins.
The picture that you've got there, Matt, that I sent you earlier, is where I really dug the pedals into my shin, trying to go over a side hop bar, like a high jump bar, on the demo rig, and it just came down and really like opened my shin up. One of the other times,
side. So you got it from a side hop. I'm trying to log all of these. That's a side hop move.
What's the most consistent move that you're actually?
Yeah, that's what we're basically getting to. So
side hop over a bar, and then as I landed, my foot just slipped off the pedal on the ground because I landed like completely flat, and it just went smack into my shin. The other one, probably the funniest one that I've had, wasn't actually a pedal to shin, but it was on the old 360 rig where they had a massive sprinter van, and Ian Drummond is a fantastic rider. He's also a psychopath, and so he had the takeoff for this side hop onto the roof of the van was about that big. It's about the size of a dinner plate. It was really hard. It's wobbling all over the place, and the top of the van, he just covered it with grip tape. There's no platform up there. He just put like skateboard grip tape over it. And in the middle of this show, it was in Liskeard actually. It was the Liskeard County show, country show, and I went for the side hop. I missed the side hop. My bike came down and smashed off the wing mirror of the van and hit Ian, who was commentating, and my shin just like grinded along the top of the van, and it literally left but there was like hair and skin stuck on the roof of the van for like weeks afterwards. So
that's one of the
worst ones. But then I remember when I was like, I think I was about 13 or 14, and I got a shindig in the garden, and I think I actually threw up. My dad was like, it's one of those ones like Scott described in the one he was in, where you can just see bone. You're like, that's my shin bone. It's like, yeah. But yeah, so those are sort of the worst ones, I think, really.
Cool. And then moving on to that, the other segment we'll try to do in every episode. Don't always get this, but quick fire round, Rich. So I'm going to throw these towards you. Your favorite trials spot, or what you want from a favorite trial spot?
Favorite trial spot, probably Cligger Head on the north coast of Cornwall. It's a ruined mining complex. Me and Matt have been there literally hundreds of times.
Very good. Also very close to the Trials Park and Mount Hawk Cop.
Yeah, literally 5 miles up from there. Otherwise, probably Lamorna Cove. So Lamorna Cove is on the south coast of Cornwall. It's down past Penzance, and it's some of the most amazing natural riding that you'll ever really see. So street would be like Cligger, natural would be Lamorna.
They're like giant pebbles from what I remember.
Yeah, they're huge, and like a lot of coastal things, they move around a lot because when the sea comes in and pushes the rocks underneath, the pebbles and stuff, they move. So if you get a move there and you're trying it, you've literally got that day to do it, because you can come back the next day and it'll have moved. So it's really good, like training stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, heard it, guys. That's another good spot for when
you turn up that spot. Your favorite riding spot now. We know exactly where you are. What's your favorite move? What is the move you have to do? You have to send when you go riding.
This is like probably my favorite move is taps. Like tap the front wheel into something and bash up to back wheel, because not a lot of people do them anymore. It's a lot more of pedaling straight to back wheel or up to front. But I'm an old school rider ish kind of, and I really like.
You very much are. You've got that title, mate. Don't worry.
Yeah. Taps to back. I used to love gaps to front, and I used to love 180 gaps as well. I used to be really good at them, but I've sort of not done so many of them anymore.
Nice. And then when you're there, you've sent this massive tap. We've done a gap to 180. What rider, your favorite or most inspiring rider, who's going to be there watching you doing this?
Yeah, it could be anyone that you like to watch. It could be someone that you like to copy. I don't know, an inspiration.
Like riders that I like watch videos of before I go out and ride, like the Castilla brothers, Giles and Giacomo, like them, like pretty big ones. Vincent Hermance. I just really like the European competition style riders, but yeah, just whoever I'm sort of with at the time, really. Like, you know, I genuinely think I've done some of the best riding I've ever done. Some of the best riding I've ever done has been on my own, which is quite depressing. But also, yeah, just when you've got good mates around you and stuff, people like Alex and James and yourself, Matt. So yeah.
No, I know we've had some I've had some rather spectacular level of riding when it's been maybe just like me and you after a show, or me and yourself catching up. That way it seems to always, when there's a smaller group, I don't know what that kind of pressure is, or you're just wanting to push each other.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that. I also wasn't sure, do you know off the top of your head, you obviously haven't ride for over 20 years, could you come up with a number? Do you know how many bikes you think how many trials bikes you've actually had?
How many trials bikes? I would say I'd be surprised if I've had more. Oh, Jesus, 25 probably.
Okay. Yeah,
probably. I mean, like if I just really quickly like work backwards. I mean, the Limey, the Echo, Hydrox, the Limey 3. Phase. There was a Breathe frame for a while. There was what was the other one? Can't remember. And then like a Pure, a Tsar, a Pitbull. That's 11. Leeson, 3 Leesons at least. An Echo ES2, Saracen XS, Specialized P3. It's probably, and there's probably a few in there that I've forgotten. So yeah, probably 20 different bikes. Or frames at least. So
yeah. At least we were trying to work out if, like, on average, it was people saying they were like, oh, it's probably like one bike, working out to like one bike a year, or like one bike every 1.5 years. Once we get to data,
that's about right. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find out. We're going to go on to my next. Tom's just had to do some work stuff because sadly we also have a bike repair business. So we have customers that are still getting their bikes sorted out.
Hey, it's good.
Right, moving on. I have one of my other favorite sections. I like to go and do some digging for some old and things like that. You sent me some good ones, but I'm just going to dig a couple of photos out, 2 or 3, and you can perhaps just give me a bit of context to the picture. First one I've got. Can
I like veto these if they're like terrible?
Yes.
Can I just be a veto and move on? Because I've no idea what you're about to show me.
Yeah, true. The first one we'll keep. The first one is trials. It's fine. Don't worry. Well, these things are live on the internet, Rich. So if you can't see them, you should be like, oh crap, I need to. A window. So let's go to this picture here. Can you see that yet, Rich?
Yeah, that's me. Jesus.
For the listeners, I'll try and do a nice bit description there. He's tried his utmost. Well, you've tried your hardest there to look reasonably smart with a time. I don't know whether that was just intentional. He's holding what looks like a new Trials frame. Is it a base frame or something?
No, that is so. That's a Heatsink 24 UK frame. It's the 24 UK frame that Steve from Heatsink Bikes made.
Yes, I remember now.
And it was, and do you know the strangest thing is, so I was picking the frame up for Luke Rainbird, and I was taking it down to Plymouth. That's in the driveway of someone's house in Taunton, and I'd just been on a night out with Tom and Ben Moore. So that's why I look haggard as hell. But weirdly, I'm pretty sure I've now got that frame hanging up in Mount Hawk, because it went to Luke Rainbird, then it went to someone else, and then I picked it up from someone last year because I wanted to build up a 24. So I actually weirdly think I've still got that frame.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, this for me as well. I was just like, I don't think I've seen your beard quite like that before either. I was sort of, that was a new image.
That's 13 years ago, probably. Yeah. Yeah, that's 2008, I think.
But it also makes sense because around this picture, there was some other images of you and Ben Moore collapsed on the floor somewhere. So that might have been the night before.
Do you know what those pictures are? Those pictures are from the Lostwithiel weekender that we did. And that is in like Sprog's house. You remember
Sprog? My goodness, I remember him. Oh.
Yes. That'd be me and Ben Moore and Josh Kidd. Yeah, that was that.
My days, absolute belt as well. Let me just see what else I found here. This one, you can't see your face, but I know it's you. What
can you see?
I found this one absolutely brilliant. Where is it?
Right. Okay.
Oh, right. I think you're trying to light a cigarette.
That is. Matt, you're 100% correct. We are indeed lighting cigarettes using deodorant cans and lighters. Now, the funny thing, so yeah, I'm the person whose face is obscured there, lighting a cigarette. The other guy in that photo is one of my best and oldest friends. He's called Ben Revel. He's just become a father recently. So it's so bizarre that I'm now like hanging out with his wife and his like 1-year-old daughter. And this is the kind of stuff that we used to get up to. So yeah, but weirdly, this is where us starting videos, making videos started. It was me and my friends when Jackass happened, and we wanted to make stupid stuff on videos and stuff. And that's what got me into making trials videos. So yeah, that is a weirdly trials related thing. So
I thought it might be. I mean, just there are other images there on the Facebook where you can see his face was not harmed.
I mean, there's a bit of beard tinge, I think, but otherwise, yeah, it's all good.
I mean, it's like burning your face for and if you and listen to this one, I've got this crazy days. I've got one more that I've never seen before. I found it quite funny.
See what else we've got. These are really old photos. You've done your research, like. Really was it? Oh God! Oh man!
This here, this is like full on. For the listeners, this is Rich Pearson. You're definitely wearing makeup there, bro. That is some lip balm there, maybe eyeliner or something. And are you dressed like? Did you go as Linkin Park or something? Like what?
So that was one of our freshers events when I first started at uni. I think the event was called the Psycho Circus, which I don't think you could name an event that anymore. But it was like a circus themed mad thing. And yeah, I was just wearing basically a suit, but then some of the girls in my house spent like the whole evening doing my hair and making my makeup like that. And so all my hair, all those spikes are done with soap. So it didn't come out of my hair for like days.
What?
It was
soap.
Yeah, use soap. It makes your hair go really rock solid and stuff. And then they just twisted them all out like that. So I just had mental looking hair.
If anyone to see that look come back from Rich, I reckon you could probably still do that with your hair.
I haven't got enough hair. I haven't got enough. My receding hairline will not allow that kind of drastic coiffury anymore.
Some absolute belters there. I mean, they weren't all going to be trials related, and it was just a bit of an opportunity for me to bring out some embarrassing photos. I'm sure you've got even better ones somewhere.
There's a few good ones.
There's another thing, actually, I usually ask, do you know how many bones you've broken over the years of riding? I know not all your broken bones have been from riding.
No, they haven't. But
in terms of injury,
from trials riding itself, in terms of broken bones, not very many. I broke my ankle in 2010. I broke my nose twice in the year 2000 from trials riding. So I was learning, and I basically, had a few face plants where I broke different parts of my nose. And I think I've broken a finger. So like ankle, nose twice, and a finger basically. I think I've cracked a few ribs, like taking really hard stacks and stuff, but otherwise, no. I mean, I've had some of the luckiest like escapes in crashes and stuff. I've crashed for every major demo team that I've ridden for. Like I've crashed during shows like so many times. I fell off of Andre Burton's rig once.
Pretty successful.
Yeah, I remember falling off Andre's rig. It was in Southend in a nightclub, and the only reason I didn't like break my neck was because there was a bolt sticking out of the rig, and my shorts caught around it and then ripped as I came down. So it was like, yeah, I've been very, very lucky in terms of injuries and stuff. So yeah, bunch of concussions as well, but otherwise, yeah, it's been all good.
No, nice mate, nice mate. And if people want to find out more of this and just on your RPM and yourself, where can we find you? Where are we?
Where can you find me? My Instagram, my personal Instagram is Rich Pearson 87. RPM Displays is just at RPM Displays, and that's about all I've got really. Otherwise, if you follow things like the Mount Hawk Skate Park page, there's lots of cool stuff on that. The Southwest Trials group on Facebook, if you're ever riding down here and want to hang out with us and stuff, people like Alex are really good at sort of moderating and managing that. Otherwise, I don't want you to find out more stuff about me, so don't follow me or anything.
One of those was to say to Tom, actually, for someone who's been in the community for so long, almost from when I started, you've done very well to keep yourself under the radar.
This is the thing when people say, like, considering the job that I do, which is basically traveling to events all around the country all through the year, I live in possibly the worst place to do it, because almost every event that we do is at least 4 hours away from where I live. But I'm quite a reclusive person, so I I live in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. So it's the price you pay for sort of living far enough away from the rest of you. So
it's suited for you, mate. It's your kind of lifestyle. Other bits. Rich also has a book out that you can buy if you'd like to do that. You can go and check out his book. He's like, oh, really? Yeah. I did write a book, didn't I? Oh shit!
I did. Yeah, I completely forgot.
The title there, Rich, yourself, was it?
So the one that I released last year is called Night Vision, and it is on. You can get it on Amazon, so you can get hardcovers, and you can get it on Kindle if you want. Because I've always liked writing books. I'm writing another one at the moment, but it's a non-fiction book. So I'm going to wait and see what happens with that.
Oh, interesting. That's definitely much more up my street. So we very much look forward to that. I think we pretty much covered most of the things we wanted to today. We are running out of time. Mate, I really appreciate you coming on, having a chat with us. It's really great to catch up. And,
thank you very much.
Guys, make sure you go and like the RPM Display Instagram and keep up to date with them. And I know Rich is always bringing out some new content. I'd like to think probably in the summer now. I would think you might be back on the bike a bit more. I know that'll be it. If anyone's going down to the southwest, of course, give Rich a shout. I'm sure I'd be happy to show you around all of the local spots. If you are going down, let me know. Maybe I'll come with you. Because we do need to get down there.
I was thinking about that.
We are thinking about potentially coming down very soon, Rich, as well, just to get back to my original roots of riding.
Back to the primitive.
Yes, and reset. And got to get Tom to the trials park at Mount Hawk. If anyone's confused what Mount Hawk is, I'll probably get some context. That is it's a big, probably the biggest and best indoor skate park in Cornwall. Google it. They've also got now a nice little miniature indoor bouldering wall, correct? That you made, Rich, as well. Is that open? Well, obviously it's not open, but it was finished, right?
Yeah. So I built the bouldering wall last year. This time last year I started it, and it was due to open in March, and then coronavirus happened. But when hopefully in about a week's time, when all the restrictions lift, hopefully that will be open again as well. So yeah.
Cool. So anyone who's looking to get away and go for a staycation, as they'd say, you've got a trials park down there. There's a bit of climbing. You've got an indoor skate park. There's also a cafe there, I know, that can supply food.
And we are genuinely soon gonna have an actual campsite so that we can have people properly come down for weekenders and stuff. So we're getting the grounds are getting sorted, shower blocks going in soon, and then people can actually come and camp and have a proper Cornwall weekender, because that's what we want, really. So yeah.
Oh, you heard it here, guys. It looks like we may be having our own miniature Hawk Fest, perhaps sometime in the future.
You can't go abroad, so vacation.
Yeah, I think that'll be the way. And Cliggerhead, which Rich rightly earlier said is his favourite spot, is 5 minutes from there. And those social lot, there's also a really fantastic pub up the road that we've.
Oh yeah.
I think so far we've gone to every time we've gone riding there, Rich. So
the Chiverton Arms. Oh yes.
Chiverton Arms, that is the one. We'll keep up that tradition. So mate, thanks again.
Thanks,
really
Rich.
Really great to mix it up.
Like, well done for doing this, because it's frankly brilliant. I remember when someone said you guys were doing a podcast, and I was just like, okay, it could be interesting, but I've listened to all. I haven't listened to Jason's yet, so I'm going to do that in a minute. Yeah, it's really good, and you're only doing something good for the sport. So thank you very much.
Oh, thanks. We appreciate it. I think for us, I wanted to find somewhere I could search for this and listen to it myself, but we thought, oh, we may as well pull our finger out and do it. Yeah. I mean, I have the equipment. This is my job. I don't see why I hadn't been doing that. Ironically, we had some technical difficulties at the very start of the podcast, but we got there in the end. Awesome. Well, mate, hopefully we'll catch up with you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you again next time, Shinners.
Take care, Shinners.
Enjoy your week.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Cheers.